I'm April Smith, and this is Tammy Runion. We're doing an interview for Education 520. Tammy, what is your background and experience working with reading students?
I have a bachelor's degree in K-6. I have a master's in reading. I'm a reading specialist pre-K through adult, and I have my admin as well. I was a title teacher the first several years, 2 or 3 years, and then I taught second grade for about 14 years, third grade for 3, and the last 3 years I've been an assistant principal.
What is your experience with educational research in the field of reading?
Well, in the classroom, I would do a lot of searches for lessons or strategies, things to address content standards or deficits students had. A lot of times I would search for things to address the needs of, say, some special ed students that I had. I had a vision impaired student once, and things that I really wasn't familiar with. So looking for things to just help students be successful in class.
What type of research have you engaged with?
Always looking for those strategies to help the deficits of the skills that they have, depth of questions or tasks, wanting those to be very rigorous and not stay on the level 1, but move up to those level 3 and 4 on those Bloom's levels to try to make them more rigorous. K2 skills basically, because that's I spent most of my career there, so it was a lot of phonics, vocabulary, fluency skills.
How do you stay current with the best practices in reading education?
I think a lot of you always have journals that you can read, the NEA and all those. You can subscribe to those. You can also be members of academic groups, but your county or our county, they also provide trainings in current and things that will assist you to
stay up to date.
Yes, absolutely.
How do you use research?
Groupings are really important. So we use data to complete groupings, to make them flexible, to find the skills that we need, or to find the strategies to address the skills that we need. We use them for discipline, attendance, all those, because you're looking for things to make the whole student successful. And so discipline is something I use a lot now on PBIS, and attendance, how to get them to come to school, keep them here. So.
How do you evaluate the credibility of research before implementing it?
Yeah, the source has to be reputable, an academic journal, like I said before. It shouldn't be vague, should be very transparent. You look at the cited work, that's a big clue. A lot of the current research, they use a lot of the same cited material. You just have to be very careful nowadays.
Yeah. Is it important for reading educators to stay updated with the latest research?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Things change. We have Chat GPT now, and we have a lot of things, and it's a constant rotation, and we need to be ahead of the game.
Mm-hmm. Are there any specific research studies that have impacted your approach to teaching reading?
Yes, absolutely. Being, an educator for this long, when I did my master's in reading, I was at Marshall University, and we did, of course, the reading recovery, the Fountas and Pinnell, Maury Clay. We studied all of those. We did literacy groups and guided reading, and that built a very strong, foundation, and we used that for probably the first 10 years or so of my career, and they were successful, but things do change, as time passes. Kids change, we change. We're using Science of Reading now, and that's, our new program that we use. There's a lot of things that are the same, and then there are some things that are different. and you just have to be able to be flexible and go with the flow.
Yeah. What role does collaboration with other educators play in your engagement with educational research?
Collaboration is very important. One of the things we do at our school is when we see, that we are struggling as a school in a certain area. It could be phonics or it could be vocabulary. We'll have sometimes mini trainings in our PLCs and our common plannings to help the teachers. Sometimes some teachers are stronger in one aspect and weaker in another, and so they can help each other. Writing is one of those. That's something I see in our school with writing. Some teachers are really strong in writing, and some teachers really struggle. So if they can collaborate and help each other work it out, it just makes the kids more successful. It makes your school more successful.
Are there any research-based reading programs that you would recommend for reading educators?
Of course, Science of Reading is the one we're using now. We're getting a lot of training in that. We use iReady. I really like iReady. We used Lexia before that, and Lexia was pretty good too. I like the rigor of iReady. I feel it's pretty accurate. Rigby is just an old favorite because again, I'm a K2 person, so I love those Rigbys in kindergarten and first grade. I think it gives a good solid level and reading level for kids, and I love to see them with the book in their hands.
Yeah. Can you give an example of a successful reading intervention that you've implemented?
So standard practice reading for me looks like small group setting, skill-based instructional level for your 6 kids that you have, and giving them tasks to help those skills, to build those skills, trying to cover as many of the domains as you can. I love letter work, word work. I always try to incorporate writing in there. Small group instruction, you can really, meet a student on their level and hit a lot of things. I try to use pieces that they enjoy. Boys like science, and girls like pets, and just you can always know your students enough that you can choose the kind of material that they want to read. And I'll throw in a running record. I think that's important, especially, again, I'm talking K2 here, but running records to just see if their instructional levels moving up. You do have to assess.
What future trends in educational research do you think will influence the field of reading education?
Educational research will influence technology influences it majorly. It's an amazing thing, the differences that have happened over when I first started teaching. Actually, when I was doing my student teaching, the teachers couldn't even type a letter or make a spelling test or any kind of test on it, and they were really excited that I could do that for them. And here we are 20 years later, and we're ruled by technology. And so it's just an amazing thing. It's hard to tell what will happen, but technology is a big influencer.
What advice would you give to new educators about integrating research into their reading instruction?
Absolutely, that it's something that you can do on a daily basis, really. It doesn't have to be a big, lengthy, I'm reflecting back to that big research class that you have where you write the paper and you spend all that time, and it doesn't have to be that. It can just be a Google search on how to address a behavior that you're having with a certain student and give you some strategies to use to help him. Or it can be, looking at your content standards and trying to find a lesson that addresses a specific one. I mean, it can be it could be looking at your class data and seeing that they all need a little help with geometry. And so, it can be a small base, and those are the ones that are going to impact your class, the ones that you do yourself, those small little ones.
Yeah. Do you spend more or less time researching now than before?
That's a very good question. I don't know. I want to say I want to say maybe more, but then again, I feel like on a daily basis as a teacher, I was always like looking for something. As an admin, we're looking at whole school data on a bigger scale. So I guess it's just different types of data that we're looking for. But it's all about looking for answers to help your students be successful or your teachers be successful if you're in admin. You know, it may be, you know, that you're looking at it could be teacher attendance. How can you improve your teacher? I mean, that's still research.
Absolutely. Where do you look first when starting research?
Internet. Just Google it. Yeah, that's the first place. You know, it's a thing of the past to, I actually remember a card catalog, but, you know, we don't do that anymore. It's at our fingertips. It's on our phones. So that's the first place you go.
All right. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.